What started as a peaceful demonstration ended with broken windows and graffiti all over the federal building in downtown Seattle. Theron Zahn with our sister station has more on the protest and the violence that broke out last night.
In the aftermath this morning, the front of the federal building in downtown Seattle is covered in graffiti with language we can't show you on TV, so we're having to blur it out. Now, the peaceful protesters say this wasn't their work.
We're going back to a state of chaos and disorder, and that people who are very destructive.
Another night of violence on Seattle streets after police say a peaceful march earlier in the evening gave way to damage and people throwing things at police officers later in the night. It started at 7 with a march protesting actions taken by the Trump administration from Cal Anderson Park on Capitol Hill to the federal building downtown. But SPD says at 10 p.m. a group of people set fire to a dumpster at 3rd and Marion. Seattle police say they had officers staged in the area waiting for Seattle Fire to get there when a group confronted officers and started throwing bottles, rocks, and chunks of concrete at them. At one point, we're told, a protester threw a large firework at officers. This is a picture provided by SPD. Even in all that, no one was hurt. Supporters of the march say marchers were not the ones causing trouble.
They were peaceful, and now things have devolved into a group that's blocking the streets, damaging property, and it's distracting from the immigrants. The immigrants are not being violent.
Police ended up arresting 8 people. There are no reports of any officers being hurt.
Aren't abiding by American norms of civil protest, are being allowed to run rampant and cause a lot of destruction.
The violence last night comes just as NBC News is now reporting that ICE plans on sending their special response teams like the ones in Los Angeles here to Seattle and other cities like Chicago, Philadelphia, and New York.
Well, more protests against the Trump administration are scheduled for Saturday in Seattle and other cities across the country, including a Flag Day protest here in Yakima. Well, turning now to Spokane, where a curfew has been lifted after a night of tense anti-ICE protests. Dozens of protesters clashed with police last night outside the ICE office in Spokane. Officials say the group was trying to block the deportation of a Venezuelan asylum seeker. At one point, the protesters linked arms, chanted "Let them go," and blocked a transport bus. Former City Councilman Ben Stuckart led the demonstration, the mayor also weighing in.
I know there is tremendous fear amongst our local immigrant and refugee community. My heart goes out to families who are separated or are fearful of what might happen to them in their workplace.
Several people were arrested during the confrontation. It finally ended when the mayor declared a state of emergency and imposed a curfew downtown. Well, several anti-Trump protests are planned in cities across the country on Saturday morning during the military parade in Washington, D.C. They're being called the No Kings protests, a name that President Trump says is poorly chosen.
What do they call it? No Kings?
No Kings.
I don't feel like a king. I have to go through hell to get stuff approved.
Saturday's military parade celebrates the Army's 250th anniversary. It also coincides with President Trump's 79th birthday. Protests are scheduled in nearly 2,000 locations around the country, including in Ellensburg and other cities in our area. Well, are you worried a riot will happen in Yakima or Central Washington? That's the question we asked in today's viewer poll. You can scan the QR code on your screen or go to either our social media pages or our website to cast your vote. The poll is set to end at 5:40 tonight, so make sure to get your votes in and make sure to tell us why you voted in the comment section on our Facebook page. We'll have the full results for you in our 6 p.m. newscast, but the vast majority so far are voting no.